Recently, Friedman gave his 31 Thoughts, which is, if you don't know, a segment where he shares a bunch of different types of rumors, news, and whatnot going on through the NHL, and he talked about how the Vancouver Canucks are going to look like sellers, depending on whether or not they can jump back into this race in the Northern Division and try to stabilize what's left of the season and make a good final push to make a playoff appearance. Nonetheless, though, if that doesn't happen, which is a big possibility because the Vancouver Canucks, although have looked very good of recently, have had this consistent problem of showing up against a couple good opponents and then just not being able to maintain success throughout the season. It's really been a problem for them, and because of that, there are a lot of different types of names being thrown around in the trade market. Tanner Pearson, Jacob Virtanen, and even guys now like Tyler Mott and Nate Schmidt. But there's another name that recently has been started to surface who is another asset that I think the Winnipeg Jets could insanely use to help push them over the edge for a cheap player that they could bring in that would not cost too much, and a guy who I've already talked about on this channel for like the whole year basically leading up to this season about why I thought the Jets were going to sign him, and that is Travis Hamonic. Now, if Travis Hamonic becomes available, it's going to be such a low-key move that the Jets, most players in the league, wouldn't think of, because that is exactly the type of defender that the Jets would need for a type of good push to stabilize the top four, in my opinion. He's a guy that knows how to play good defensive minutes, who's a really good stay-at-home defensive guy who could really help push the team forward in that area and really play good defensive minutes for them, and that could be a huge get for the playoffs for this club moving forward, especially considering how the playoffs and how the team has looked in general and what type of hockey we would expect going into a playoff series against a potential opponent like the Vegas Golden Knights, like Tampa Bay in a cup final, for example, or something like that. There's a lot of different scary situations in the playoffs where the Jets are very outmanned defensively and don't really have a defensive guy that could really help carry them, minus maybe a guy like Derek Forbett. But nonetheless, I think that a move like this could be very possible, because I've made in my video talking about why I think the Jets could go after Mattias Ekholm, David Savard, Vince Dunn, even Alex Goligoski to an extent, and other guys as well that have become possibly available, and what also they could do in free agency. This is a good move for the Jets in the short-term game, because most likely he would not cost even anything on the level of what you would be asking for from Ekholm, Vince Dunn, or Savard. And all three of those guys, you're giving up a first-round pick. Goligoski, you're giving up at least a second-round pick, if you had to ask me. I don't know if he's worth a first, but I think he's definitely worth a second to a really good third-round pick, if you know what I mean. Right around there, maybe a second and a third, just 2/3 type thing. That's where I see Goligoski's value in picks. When I look at what Travis Hamonic can bring, I think that he is right around that Goligoski price point. And the beauty about that is that with trading for Goligoski, you would have to obviously make him go through that 14-day quarantine period where he can't play with the team and practice and train. And like I've said in all my videos talking about trading assets and what the Jets could do at the deadline, I've always said that trading for an American team, the Jets have already done that. They might not be interested in making another deal like that. But nonetheless, I think that a move like this could be possible. Obviously, this is all hypothetical because, like Friedman said when he was on the program hosted by Andrew Walker and Satir Sai on Sportsnet, he said that obviously this is all hypothetical because of the fact that the Canucks are trying to make a push, and right now we don't even know if they're going to be trading off any type of assets for the time being, because if the Canucks want to actually try to pursue. Obviously, when you're a team that is not doing very well and teams are contacting you for trades, they ain't trying to help you out. They're trying to drop an iron on you, and they're trying to take your players and become better themselves. So because of that, it really depends on whether or not the Canucks and Jim Benning are really in a situation where they feel like trading off their assets, resetting this year, and trying to go again next year, more polished and whatnot, might be the situation. But at this time, right now, we don't know. So all of this is hypothetical and based off of the fact that the Canucks become and choose to be sellers because of the situations and the percentage situations at the time of the season and whatnot, whether they can make the playoffs. So because of all of that information, when you have all that to consider, yes, this is highly unlikely and very early to be even talking about such a rumor as this with trading with Travis Hamonic to the Winnipeg Jets, or the Winnipeg Jets even trying to pursue Travis Hamonic. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this video and make it now is because it's a very possible move that, depending on how the next couple of weeks go for the Vancouver Canucks, that a guy like Travis Hamonic, who is on a very short-term deal, could become available for them, trying to get some cheap assets off. Because think about it this way, for the Canadian teams, even the Leafs, if you are the Montreal Canadiens, it doesn't really matter. You're obviously going to be thinking about adding to your team if you're trying to win this year and make a really good push for the division, right? Every GM is going to be thinking of that and looking over their situation when the time comes at the deadline. If you have a Canadian Canadian team where you don't have to wait through the quarantine and you can trade with them and bring in players from that team, I swear the Vancouver Canucks could become the superstore, the Costco for the Canadian Northern Division and trying to get players to the contending teams like the Jets, like the Leafs, like the Habs, and depending on what the situation is, even the Calgary Flames. So there's a lot of different things to think about into this situation, but like I've said in all my videos, I think Hamonic would be a really good fit, and if Hamonic even wanted to become available, one of the only teams I bet he would want to go to because of his family situation would be the Winnipeg Jets. So in my opinion, if the domino falls and the Canucks choose to become sellers, which is all hypothetical based on the next couple of weeks go for them, I think that Kevin Cheveldayoff could be talking to Jim Benning very, very soon and thinking out a deal and trying to work out a situation where Travis Hamonic is in a Jets uniform before the end of this season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, as always, if you would think that moving for a guy like Travis Hamonic would be a smart move for the club, because I've seen lots of different people differ their opinions, saying that they want to get a defender, but they don't want to go through the risky sense of him not playing with the team very much and all the quarantine troubles that comes with his COVID world we're so-called living in still. So because of all of those situations brought in together, all of those circumstances put on the teams, let me know your thoughts on this, whether or not you think it's a good move. Peace, love, and positivity to everybody who watches this. Thank you so much for watching. If you're a fan of hockey, regardless of the team you root for, definitely consider dropping a subscription, as we're on that way to 1K subscribers, and all the support you guys can give means a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Go Jets, go. Let's see what happens in the near future. Things are going to be interesting.